Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. About 9 years ago, my brother's wife left him for another man. She was cheating on him all that time. My brother was devastated. They had married very young. I was against it. I had my brother in my apartment for months. He had fallen into a severe depression, and I was the one who paid for a psychologist since he didn't have money and even lost his job because he didn't even want to move from the couch or bathe. I even gave him a bath. I wasn't bothered by that. I did everything for my brother. She just left and blocked him from everywhere. She simply confessed to him that she had been cheating on him for a year and that she was in love with that man. 4 years after that, when my brother was finally starting to feel better, she reappeared in everyone's life. The typical thing happened. She and her lover were no longer together. She had begun to receive psychological help and changed completely. She felt regretful. She was really sorry, etc. I told my brother all the time to cut off contact with her for the sake of his mental health. He didn't. I always had a bad feeling, and I could smell the crap from afar. He started to justify her past actions all the time by saying that she changed. They were too young. She was having problems, etc. And he got angry when I told him that she's still a B. Shortly after that, they got back together, and my brother cut off all contact with me because I didn't accept their relationship, and he didn't want anyone to come between them. I told him to F off, and we didn't talk anymore. Now, my brother has reappeared at my house, after years without him wanting to talk to me, only to tell me that his wife cheated on him again, but this time they have children. In the past, I would have let him in, hugged him and everything, but he has gone years without even inviting me to meet his children. He has not even spoken to me to congratulate me on my marriage or my pregnancy. I even invited him to my wedding, and he didn't come. I told him that at this moment, I can't let him be in my house, which is actually true, because I can't have that kind of stress. He told me that we are siblings, and he needs me, but I told him that I needed him too, but he has never been there, and he cut me off for that woman. We had an argument, and my husband ended up kicking him out because I was already crying. He's staying with our parents now, and my mother just tells me it's not the time to hold a grudge against him, and he needs me. But I can't forget how he didn't think twice before cutting off all contact with me for her. OP put her life on hold for him, and he repaid her by cutting her out of his life and even not showing up at her wedding. He decided he didn't want OP in his life. Now he wants OP to put her life on hold again. Relationships are a two-way street. He's a very weak man. OP has her own family to care about now, so her brother can deal with the consequences of his actions himself. I love this comment by one Redditor. Dating an ex is like reading a book all over again. You know how it's going to end. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Yeah, no. He burned a bridge. This is called the consequences of your actions, and he can figure it out. If he wants to consider reparations at some point in the future, I would seriously consider if it's even worth it. Not the a-hole. It's funny how you can't hold a grudge, but he can be mad. Relationships are a two-way street. You were there for him at his lowest, and he threw you away for a woman that clearly doesn't care about him. What happens if the wife comes back and they get back together? Will he disappear again? You have enough self-respect to know that you deserve to be treated better, and if he had half the self-respect you had, he wouldn't be in this position. Your brother is trying to do the same thing to you as his wife did to him. Treat you like crap until he wants something from you. His wife never really became a better person or learned from what she did, and your brother didn't learn a damn thing or change either. The fact he only cares about himself and what he's going through and doesn't give a crap about your needs or well-being proves he's nearly as big a piece of crap as his wife. Not the a-hole. Tell your mom she can deal with his stupid, pathetic butt this time, because he's not your problem. Long story short, I moved back in with my father after losing my job. He helped me out, and I greatly appreciate it. I lived there for 1.5 years. In that time, I paid our phone, Wi-Fi bills, and the electric bill every single month, without fail. He paid for food and rent. He is a janitor and is always broke. Anytime he needs gas or some spare cash, I give it to him. Recently, I completed a class and am applying for a better job, with the plan to move back out on my own. Every single time my dad has moved out of an apartment, he was kicked out,
and was homeless for 1 to 2 months before finding a new place. He did this every single time. The last time he was kicked out, he lived at my apartment for 2 months. I never charged him a dime. He needed help and I gave it to him. I told him my plans for moving out, and he said, "I'm not going to renew my lease at the end of August. I'll just stay with you for a few months." I said, "Absolutely not. I'm looking for a place with this guy I've been talking to. I'm looking at 1 bedrooms, and he said he'll sleep on my couch." I said that's not going to happen. He isn't even in a bad spot. He's planning to live with me. This isn't a last-minute thing. He genuinely thinks he's moving with me. He is now threatening to sue me for my half of rent, even though I paid my fair share. I was 21, paying for my 60-year-old father's electric bill, phone bill, and gas for his car. I'm done taking care of him. What can I do? How do I prepare for this? Even though he can't afford a lawyer. Just keep telling him no. When you do find the place you want to live, don't give him the address, and don't let him in the front door. If you don't have a lease agreement with him, then you don't owe him anything. No lawyer will take the case. Without some kind of lease contract signed, he has literally no legal leg to stand on, and lawyers generally do not take cases like this, unless there's money in it for them, even if they're scummy enough to get involved with something like this. Just ignore it. This is just a manipulation tactic to keep you scared and feeling obligated to help. Don't fall for it. You don't owe him anything. No is a complete sentence. Let him try to sue. I guarantee he can't afford it and won't follow through. Live your life. I'm a 45 female. I share 4 beautiful children, 23, 20, 17, and 14, with my husband, male 49. We've been together for nearly 30 years and married for 24. We always take a big family vacation every summer. Due to virus, that was put on a hiatus. Usually he pays for his parents and vice versa. Together we pay for our children. One of his brothers needed help, so my husband decided to cover him and his family. My husband retired a couple years ago. We've always had separate accounts and a joint account. He has always been an avid hunter and fisherman. We're not rich, but we do live comfortably. I managed our finances to get us to this point. Now when he retired, he started managing his money because I didn't agree with his irrational purchases. He recently invested a large portion of his savings into a large hunting tract, citing it was a steal he couldn't turn down. Mind you, we live on a large property where the hunting game is in abundance. I didn't understand the need to buy more acreage. Maybe it's a hunting thing. If there's any hunters on here, please let me know. I reminded him that our trip was coming up and that he should have waited to make the purchase, since to cover his brother and his family of 6, plus his parents, would be expensive. He assured me that he had it covered. I came home to a pretty boat in our driveway. I don't know a thing about boats, but all I saw was money. My husband receives a nice pension each month, but a percentage of it goes to our joint account and the rest to his savings. I calculated the land, and finally learning about the price of the boat, I knew he couldn't possibly have enough to cover the trip, which included our kids as well. So I asked him how he was planning on paying. He said he had it covered. Time comes around for us to book everything. He mentions that he noticed I had a significant amount of money in my personal account and was wondering if I could pay for the entire trip, and he would pay me back his half. I told him no. He was aware of this trip and ignored it. My husband hates owing anybody, and therefore he would find a reason why he shouldn't have to pay me back, which is a con artist move to me. I proposed he sign an agreement to repay me with interest if he didn't pay me back in the set amount of time. We had a huge argument about it, and he ended up leaving. I called and texted, no response. I received nasty texts from mother-in-law and sister-in-law and his sisters about how I was treating him. Therefore, I booked my family and I. I was even kind enough to purchase his ticket, though I hadn't seen or heard from him in over 2 weeks. The moment we left for vacation, the harassing calls and texts started. I turned my phone off and enjoyed my vacation. I came home to a nasty letter and his wedding ring, stating that he wouldn't be returning until I apologized to him and his family for how I'd treated them. I'm not apologizing, but I am wondering, am I wrong for not paying and suggesting him pay me back? Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Of course he had a plan. That plan was always that you would pay. Let him leave with his boat and his piece of land and his awful family, and he can figure it out on his own. Not the a-hole. He's playing games, using the money to buy toys for himself. Are you even on the papers for the hunting tract or land? Clearing out his money, then looking to spend yours. I hate to say it, but it is something that people sometimes do when planning a divorce. But before bringing it up, to give them more money after the divorce. Do your paperwork carefully and do your homework to make sure you know what he's planning. Not the a-hole. When he said he had it covered, what he really meant was, you have it covered. I'd send him a return certified letter telling him he doesn't need to come home. You won't be apologizing, and enclose the ring and suggest that he pawn it for some ready cash. And get a lawyer. Do you really want to spend the rest of your life with somebody who treats you like a bank? I, 19 female, was invited to my boyfriend's, 18 male, 4th of July party at a lake. I've never worn a bra and do not own any. My boyfriend knows this as we have been together for 2 years and have been to his family functions before without having problems. This year, while getting ready for the party, I finished changing and showed my boyfriend my outfit. He looked a little off when seeing it, when he would normally say that I looked good. I asked if there was anything wrong, and he said, "Could you put on a bra or something? I can see your nipples." I looked at him confused because this has never been a problem before, and I asked why. He said he didn't want his family to say something to him about it, and would make everyone uncomfortable. I told him it has never been a problem before, and I couldn't even if I wanted to because I don't own any, and to ask his family to not look at my chest. I have a small chest but work out, so finding a large bra with a small cup size is challenging. It isn't really needed anyway. He got annoyed and said it makes him uncomfortable when he can see my nipples through my shirt. I told him that I can see his nipples too, so why don't you put on a bra? To which he told me that it was different for him. I told him fine, so I went and grabbed 2 bathing suit tops and gave one to him. When he asked why, I told him it makes me uncomfortable when I can see his nipples, so he had to wear one too. He said he would not wear it because he didn't have to, so I said I won't either. He got flustered and went on a little rant about how his nipples are fine and mine aren't because our bodies are different and he's uncomfortable. We went back and forth a bit. I told him I just wanted to make a point, and he said I was an a-hole and I made it out to be a big deal when it wasn't. I put on my one piece under my clothes anyway. Later in the day, out of the water, I put on one of his work shirts as I didn't want to walk around in just my bathing suit, and someone asked if I worked there, to which his brother, who is somewhat on the spectrum, told me if I worked there, it would only be for a film, porn. I thought my boyfriend would say something, as he was so concerned about my nipples earlier, but he just laughed at his brother's comment. But am I the a-hole for trying to make a point? Not the a-hole, and you need to decide now how far you're going to go in allowing a man to police your body and your clothing choices. What your boyfriend learned today is that he can shame you into dressing the way he wants. Kinda the a-hole. You need to read the room and figure out if this is the right family for you. You wouldn't go to a church wearing a miniskirt because that's not the place to do it. So while there's nothing wrong with not wearing a bra, do so in the right company or face backlash. Just for clarification, I thought I was the only one that was thinking this. Like, I'm reading the comments and I'm thinking, who raised you people? Would you go to work without a bra on? There is a time and a place for everything. Maybe his family has been in his ear for a while and he's just now saying something. He's not telling her how to dress. He's saying, hey, we're going to be around my family. A bra would be nice. Even a sports bra. But nope, her body, her nipples, and she doesn't have to wear a bra. Which is true. She doesn't have to wear anything she doesn't want to. Just like her boyfriend doesn't have to be uncomfortable. It's not sexualizing her body if people are staring. If they are, it's probably because they are thinking, why the hell she came out the house like that? For some context, my sister, 17, and I, 28, have a 5-year age gap. So here's the story. While growing up, my parents were really strict with me. And one thing for sure, I was not allowed to have boyfriends, let alone make them meet my parents. But teenagers being teenagers, I did date but never told my parents. Fast forward, at the age of 20, I had a boyfriend. I told my parents about it because I felt that now I was an adult and I could do that without being shamed for it. I dated that guy for almost 2 years. At some point, I told my mother that I wanted her and dad to meet him. She responded by saying, I'm going to discuss that with him and come back with an answer. The answer from my dad was, she is not going to marry him, so no need to meet him. I was shocked and disappointed by the answer, but, well, he was right. I broke up with him some time after. By the age of 23, I told my parents that I wanted to get an apartment and live on my own. Oh God, I started a war at home, and my parents said to me, you are never leaving our house without being married. That is how we do here. So I got married. I met my husband in February, got married in October of the same year. I am in love with my husband and I have a happy marriage. But if I had my choice, my life would have been different. Anyway, last week I was on the phone with my mother and asked her what she was doing. By the way she answered, I knew she lied to me. So I called my sister, who still lives with my parents, and asked her if she knew what Mom was doing. She said, "Oh yes, she is waiting for me and my boyfriend to come back." I was like, "What the duck? She is what? And boyfriend?" Then my sister explains to me that yes, she has a boyfriend, and that he is going to spend the whole weekend at home. He is going to sleep in parents' home, while they are there. I was shocked and felt betrayed. Why is she allowed to do that? Why is my mom hiding that from me? 2 weeks after, my birthday was coming. The day before, my mom calls me and says, "We will celebrate your birthday at home." I agreed. But then my sister calls me and asks if she can come over. Of course, I said yes. Here she is, and after 1 hour, she tells me that she had to leave. I was like, "Oh, already?" And she said, "Well, yes, my boyfriend is coming. I have to pick him up from the train station. I actually came here because you live closer to the train station." She proceeded to say, "You are finally going to meet him. Since he is staying for 1 week, he is going to be there for your birthday." When she left, I called my husband and told him what she had just said to me, and we both agreed that my parents were making differences between us, and that we should not go to my parents' house for my B-Day, and that we should not meet this guy because, hey, she's not going to marry this guy. I called my mother and told her that. She started crying, and now we're not talking. So, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Can't stand when parents have double standards with their kids. Your mom knew she was in the wrong, and it's why she's being dishonest about the situation in the first place. I don't think you're an a-hole for not wanting to go to your parents' house for your birthday. Just don't overall punish your sister for your parents' wrongdoings. Not the a-hole, but your parents are. Your parents sound manipulative and corrosive. Accountability goes both ways, and though it's unfortunate that your sister may feel slighted, you're establishing a boundary with your parents. I would explain to your sister that your decision not to go to your parents' house isn't against her or her boyfriend. I do think she should hear that from you. Also, do your parents still dictate how you celebrate your birthday? Or did you want to spend it with them? Hi. Actually, since I got married, I did everything to not spend birthdays with them, but got stuck in the country this year. Because, yes, they still try to dictate what I should do and how I should live my life. I don't follow their rules anymore, but I do try to avoid confrontation. So when she invited me for my birthday, I just said okay because I had nothing else to do anyway. Edit. I actually called my sister the day after my birthday to tell her why I didn't come. I basically told her that it was my way of making them understand that I was not okay with the way they treated me. She agreed, and we were on good terms. I am not mad at her. Jealous, yes, a lot. But good for her. Even so, I still don't want to meet her boyfriend because I don't want to be part of whatever my parents are trying to prove.